Good afternoon. I'm Ernie Bauer with the Center for Strategic and International Studies. I'm the Senior Advisor and Director of the Southeast Asia Program. I'm honored to be here today with the Honorable Dato Dr. Jamaluddin Jarjis, who's the Ambassador to the United States from Malaysia. Ambassador, welcome.
Thank you, Ernie. You've been very kind. Thank you.
It's good to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
You recently came back from Kuala Lumpur, where I know you were personally involved in helping to set up the trip of our Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, and our Secretary of Defense, Robert Gates. I think it's been a while since an American cabinet secretary has visited Malaysia, but suddenly the members of the cabinet are lining up to go to KL. Could you talk about the visit and what's going on?
It's, Ernie, it's really huge and really big and historic for relationship between our two countries, Ernie. And in Malaysia, all around say, hey, it's a big surprise. And this is basically historic for us. This is an important milestone for this new journey that been charted by our two leaders. President Obama, when he make a phone call to Najib to congratulate him as a new Prime Minister. That both they spoke almost half an hour. Normally I was told there's 15-20 minutes, they spoke more than half an hour. And subsequently, when they met in DC first in April during the nuclear summit, and later on in New York, they almost sealed this visit, this new strategic engagement, this new chapter between relationship between our two countries. Prior to that, the two governments nothing much, very little to say. So this augurs well for the people of our two nations, for Malaysia and for the United States.
What about the United States is clearly interested in a new relationship with Malaysia. The visits are a testament to that. But could you talk about how Malaysia is positioned in Asia and actually in the developing world, and also as an Islamic country?
You see, when I think this new chapter, this new journey to a new heights in our relationship would not be possible without the two leaders. When President Obama took over, we saw his change of policy, reaching out to the East, the importance of Asean, also reaching out to the Muslim world. And Malaysia, as a Muslim nation, with diverse society, thought this is a very golden opportunity for Malaysia to engage the world. And engaging the world has got to create a bridge to DC. So when Prime Minister took over, he thought that this is a golden opportunity. For Malaysia, we need this. We are, yes, thanks to the world, we've been exporting our rubber, the consumption of our oil palm, our rubber, but these are commodity days, and this economy based on commodity are over, so we have to move on to high-end economy, and for that we need to engage the world. To engage the world, we to create this bridge to DC. So this opportunity is a golden one, and our Prime Minister believes we must capture this golden opportunity that arise in the horizon.
What are some of the pillars of the U.S.-Malaysia relationship? I mean, a lot has happened this year in terms of things Malaysia have done and the United States have done to sort of warm up this relationship. I think at the outset of the Obama administration, they thought the big relationships that they would be advancing in Southeast Asia were Indonesia and Vietnam. Still true. But Malaysia seems to have jumped to the head of the queue. How did that happen? Other than you're coming to Washington.
When the Prime Minister formed his cabinet, he decided to send me over Ernie to DC. When we saw this, as I said earlier, there was this opportunity to capture the opportunity and to enter that window in history of our relationship between two countries. He sent me over here. So being here, I could see there could be a lot of strategic alliances, and the relationship between the two leaders created this new understanding and trust between the two nations. And prior to that also, historically, our people in Malaysia found that there's not much understanding between our two people, the needs and the thoughts. But when the two leaders took over the nation, there was an opportunity even on people-to-people basis. Prior to the visit of Secretary Clinton and Gates, I appeared on a local television for 1 hour. Can you imagine not even one questioning why we should now have a new relationship, create a new chapter with America? Not even one email, negative email.
Really?
Yeah. So I thought that's really astounding, really. And that not just the trust and the feelings, understanding between the two leaders, but the two people realized that there's so much this engagement can bring to benefits our two people.
Any specifics about the U.S.-Malaysia relationship? What could you talk about some of the things that have happened, like the on trade, on security cooperation?
For instance, on the issue of security, even though there was some working relationship at our military level and security level, that it has not gone up at above a certain level. So we found there's a lot of strategic interest on security issue, on nuclear non-proliferation, on issue of safety of the shipping lane in Malacca and South China Sea. So we found there's a lot of common ground on this issue. And on issue, as I say, on issue of non-proliferation, nuclear non-proliferation, we found that Malaysia answered that call as well. So we passed our strategic good acts, where we don't allow Malaysia to be a center to be utilized by people who don't subscribe to non-proliferation of new nuclear materials.
What about Afghanistan?
On Afghanistan, we thought that Malaysia, being a Muslim nation, when here I saw that here a lot of sound on the ground, there's a need to help Afghanistan. So when we went around at home, we realized that Malaysia, being a Muslim nation, I was so fortunate. Why not we reach out? We have reached out to the Palestinian in Palestine. We should reach out also to Afghanistan in dire straits. So we decided then that why not? Why not we send our medical team, our military medical team, to help those Afghanistan, also a Muslim nation, in dire strait, need to be helped.
Speaking of Malaysia's sort of role as a Muslim nation, the Prime Minister has recently talked about the global movement of the moderates.
Yeah.
What does he mean when he's talking about
You see, he saw this happening in all over the world, in all faiths, that the peripheries hijack the main theme, the belief in all the faiths, either in Christianity, Judaism, in Islam. So it will appear that a few have tried to hijack the main theme of the religion, like what happened in Florida. And this is for the media outside his church was more than his followers.
Right.
So and then the people of Malaysia, our prime minister, very impressed when President Obama came out very loud and said, hey, there's not this way to burn scripture of another faith.
Right.
And also on issue of the mosque in Ground Zero. So we the East, the Muslim nation like Malaysia saw as a change in the way America look out into engaging people of all the faith in this world.
So President Obama has spoken in Cairo and recently in Jakarta.
Yeah.
It seems like the two leaders have a sort of a common
and
mission.
his speech in Cairo, his speech in Ankara, and subsequently recently in Indonesia, released really a nice music in the ears of the Muslim world, which they have not heard for a long time. And this augurs well for America. For instance, recently our Prime Minister, when he was present during the heads of governments meeting with Obama, the Prime Minister suggested why not introduce the so-called teaching of English, the so-called Peace Corps program. So at that time, 20, 30 years ago, America was a nation, the people that well liked all over the world. So he thought that under President Obama, we can restore those golden era where America is liked by all faith and all people, all nations over the world.
We appreciate your help on that. We really do, I have to say. Let's turn a little bit to the trade and the business sector. As a former minister, you know a lot about and a CEO, you know a lot about the business sector. Could you talk about Malaysia's decision to join with the Trans-Pacific Partnership Group And then I want to talk a little bit about some of the economic reforms the Prime Minister has underway.
Sure, Ernie. As I said earlier, Malaysia is only well known early years prior up to our independence as a country that produced tin. And we diversify as a country that produces rubber and an oil palm. But those are commodity world that don't fly anymore. I mean, look like South America. I played bit polo. I went down to South America. I saw those buildings in Argentina and Brazil. Those were the world. Which in good time it was Paris, it was Europe.
Right.
Look what are they now? Those countries have not migrated upscale in terms of their industry. They are left behind. This so-called middle income trap. So our Prime Minister believed that Malaysia had to move on, migrate from this so-called labor-based kind of economy, the so-called commodity economy, either the hard commodity or the soft commodity of cheap labor.
And because he believes in that direction, why does a trade agreement with those 8 other partners in the TPP make sense?
So if we were to scale up our economy, now we have to go into more manufactured, high-end manufactured products. We need to go into services. So we have to export a different kind of product, and for that we need a new kind of trade agreement. We need to engage the new markets and new products in order to bridge, to develop our economic capacity in our country. We for instance, we're lucky that a lot of investment have been coming into our nation, to Malaysia, and most of these investors are from America. But our input value added very small, so we need to create our own very product. So Ernie, where is the technology going to come from? Where are the sciences to come from? Where the new markets going to come from? Exporting oil palm, exporting rubber. It's a lot of different trying to export finished good of rubber and finished good of oil palm. And that requires us to enter a new trade arrangement with the world. And for that, we believe trade with America is very, very important.
Thank you very much. What about the United States and Malaysia tried to negotiate an FTA, a free trade agreement, earlier, but for a number of reasons, maybe that didn't work. I mean, and I think those of us who watch Malaysia closely have seen Prime Minister Najib sort of start to reform or retool Malaysia's economic framework. Could you talk about what is the new economic model? What is the Prime Minister's economic transformation program, and how does that help Malaysia step into the?
At the time, Ernie, I was a Minister of Finance under our great Mohd.
I remember that.
You remember that, and we have not seen China yet. At that time, China was not one, and we have not seen India too. But we still at that time still in the comfort zone. The income from our commodity, rubber, oil palm, and then FDI rolling in, people knocking our door. But now, even FDI were to compete with China. Our low-end goods are suffering because the Chinese, they are producing at a much cheaper rate, cheaper cost, and so are the other countries in the neighbor. So we are losing at the back and tail end of our industry. So where are jobs is going to be provided in our economy? And also our kids now want a more high income jobs. So there's no other way. We have to scale up our economy, and for that we need to revisit totally our investment. Prior to this, people come to Malaysia, and you know that, because our labor is cheap, our infrastructure is good. But other nations are emulating the same thing. They have Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, all these countries, and also the East Soviet country. They're also coming out with good infrastructure in their nation, and their labor also cheap. So we are losing out the competitive edge that sustained us the last 50 years. So we need new competitive edge. So if we were to compete with China, we have to compete in terms of knowledge, in terms of sciences. And somebody was telling me earlier that IBM or somebody was telling me they want to recruit 10 PhDs from Beijing. I think 2,000 applied or something. Yeah. Now in Malaysia, if they hire 2,000, we have nothing left to teach our university. So we need to develop the human skill, the education, the human resources to meet this new economy. And for that, I think we need to engage the world. Engaging the world, we need to have our trade agreement with America.
The United States itself is facing some real challenges economically. President Obama, as you know, met yesterday with, for the first time, the bipartisan leaders from Capitol Hill. But we've got some work to do on our economy. How do Malaysians look at the United States these days? What are they worried about? What are they hopeful for when they look at us?
Of course, we were pleased when America came out from the financial crisis. It hit us before, Ernie. So we know how America went through. People losing their job, lost their houses, unemployment is very high. We went through it.
You mean in the late 90s?
In the late 90s, during the Asian financial crisis.
Right.
And then we were very concerned, and we are so pleased indeed that America is right of it. But now moving the recovery side is something else, and for which we believe that America will have the courage and the political will from both sides of the aisles to continue the free trade. Worst can happen is that America closed up, and I believe that both sides of your aisle, both sides of your politics, either Republican and Democrat, I think believe that America show the world the way. The way is to have free trade, and I believe there will be enough political will from both sides that to look at trade again. And then obviously we hope that I do believe that the Koreans are in town and huddle, so to speak.
They are. To
resolve it, and I believe that they will get over it. America will have enough goodwill, and also Korea, because so important that we resolve the trade between Korea, because that will become very important signal to the world that America still believes in free trade.
Yeah, the chorus is absolutely, fundamental to moving on to the TPP in a credible way. I think. What about? I wonder if I could ask you to talk a bit about Malaysia's perspective of ASEAN. The Americans decided to join the East Asia Summit based on a decision that ASEAN would be central. ASEAN centrality. ASEAN, as Hillary Clinton said, ASEAN would be the fulcrum of the new regional architecture. But if, I know Indonesia is chairing ASEAN next year, but if Malaysia was chairing ASEAN, what would be some of the things that you hope to see happen within this regional grouping that you're
Ernie, when people look at Asia, people tend only to look at two. The two pivots, or the two legs. I believe there will be three legs to Asia. People only look at China and look at India.
Right.
But they focus on the other leg, the ASEAN leg. There's 600 million people. And that become a big market for American products. So I believe that the administration, President Obama, doing the right thing, and Secretary Clinton's statement in Hanoi reflect that new engagement of America to Asia, because that's significant market over there in ASEAN. And Prime Minister Najib feels that it's very important that we look ASEAN as a third block, as a third leg in Asia. And in terms of issue, it's not a zero-sum game. Engaging America is not it's not something a game with America, a lose or loss to China, or loss to India. To me, it's not a zero-sum game.
Right.
So I think ASEAN engagement with China has traditionally we have been engaging them. So is India. But a new engagement with America is plus for all. It's plus for ASEAN, and I believe it's a plus for China and India too. And with the Indonesia taking over the leadership of ASEAN, and I do believe that the president will lead ASEAN. And as you know, Ernie, Malaysia and Indonesia, traditionally we are best of friends. And there's a new ambassador in town, also a good friend of mine.
Of course. Yeah.
So I think the leadership of Indonesia will bring us to another next step to strengthen ASEAN as a third leg in Asia.
Thank you very much. I think you've been here in Washington maybe about a year now?
About a year now.
Before you go, I know you're a results-oriented sort of guy. Before you go, what are one or two things you really want to see happen before you complete your ambassadorship? Hopefully many years from now. We'd like to keep you here. But
I'm sort of two to go, so to speak. So, hopefully, as you know, Prime Minister extended invitation President Obama to Malaysia, and he also make a public pronouncement whenever he's gone out there to the Asia Pacific. He will visit one or two countries at a time. So, he has visited Indonesia. So, we hope that sometime next year he will have time to visit Malaysia. As you know, Ernie, last visit was Lyndon Johnson.
I know.
Man, really.
Too long.
It's been too long.
Yeah.
And I think that the mood is there, and then a lot of people, in fact, 1 hour in the interview with our national network for 1 hour, one question say, when is President Obama coming to Malaysia? And I think pressure is on me now. Hey, he has gone to Indonesia. Well, how about Malaysia? I said, well, hopefully we pray that President Obama will visit Malaysia next. The other one is whatever the environment that we create, the bridge that we have put up between our two nations. In the end, it has got to be two things: economy, or jobs, and jobs. And that has got to be TPP.
Right.
So we liked it. It's basically music in our Malaysian years. When President Obama said he would like the TPP start to showcase some results by next year during the APEC meeting in Hawaii. So we're talking about 1 year. I just had a meeting with the USTR, Barbara, and also Demetrius recently, and both are working very hard. In fact, your USTR guys are now on the way to New Zealand for the next meeting next week.
Right.
I think they are working very hard, and we are working very hard. And also we have this good relationship among us ambassadors, among the so-called the TPP countries, also trying to make this work. So hopefully this TPP can become a reality within 1 year, and that's something that will create job for our both nations. And in line with your President Obama's own view that he need to double his export. So having TPP surely it paved the way for his vision to double American export to the world, and Malaysia and Asia can form Asia Pacific can form important market for him to double his export and create job for America.
Ambassador, I have to say I've worked on this relationship for over 2 decades now, but I've never seen the U.S.-Malaysia relationship in such hopeful shape. And a lot of that credit goes to you and obviously Prime Minister Najib. So thank you for spending some time with us today.
Thank you, Annie, and thank you to CSS, and thanks to you. You have been a great friend of Malaysia for a long time. In fact, I think while I was in office, we recommended you be awarded by Malaysia to say thanks to you. And we hope you continue, CIS and you personally hoping to continue to create this new heights, that journey to the new dreams and the good future of our both nations, our both people, Malaysia and America.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.